They laughed at her, insulted her, and called her worthless, not knowing she was the hidden heiress who controlled the $1 billion future they depended on. Snow fell lightly over the parking lot of the Willow Grand Hotel, but the cold outside was nothing compared to the coldness in Michael's voice as he dragged his wife, Emily, through the gold double doors. The night had started as a celebration, a big dinner with Michael's parents, his siblings, and their business partners. Everyone dressed in expensive suits and glittering dresses. Everyone smiling. Everyone pretending things were perfect. Except nothing was perfect. Emily felt it the moment she walked in. The long stares. The whispers. The judgment. She sensed something wrong, but she stayed calm, like always. She didn't want trouble. She only wanted peace. But peace was the last thing Michael's family ever gave her. "Don't embarrass us tonight," Michael's mother, Patricia, whispered harshly in her ear before they even sat down. "You barely fit in this place." Emily swallowed the pain quietly. She'd heard cruel comments before, but tonight felt different. Michael pulled out the chair for her, but not out of kindness. He just didn't want her to touch anything or ruin anything. His whole family treated her like she was unwanted, like she was nothing. But none of them knew the truth. Not Michael. Not his parents. Not his siblings. Not a single soul in that big luxurious hall knew that Emily, quiet, gentle, humble Emily, was the hidden heiress to the Summers fortune, a legacy worth over $1.2 billion. She owned properties they dreamed of, companies they admired, shares they wished they had, and she could destroy their future in one simple signature. But she never bragged, never boasted, never used her power to hurt anyone. Until tonight pushed her too far. Dinner started normally. Servers brought wine. Everyone talked loudly. Except Emily. She stayed quiet, polite, smiling when needed. Then things went bad, fast. Michael's sister, Jenna, leaned over the table and said, loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Emily, did you find that dress at a thrift store? It looks used." Everyone laughed. Emily looked down at her soft blue gown. She didn't tell them it was custom-made silk, stitched by a designer who usually worked for royalty. She didn't mention it cost more than Patricia's whole outfit. She simply said, "I think it's nice." Patricia scoffed. "Well, your opinion doesn't matter much, honey." Michael didn't defend her. He just laughed with them. Emily felt her chest tighten. Why did they treat her like this? Why did the man she loved allow it? The waiter came with the main dishes, and just as he placed a plate in front of her, Michael's father, Richard, cleared his throat. "So, let's talk business," he said proudly. Michael got approved to join the investment board. Big things coming for our family. Everyone clapped. Everyone except Emily. She knew something they didn't. The company Michael's family wanted to join? The investment board they prayed to enter? The billion-dollar deal they'd spent years chasing? It was hers. Her signature. Her approval. Her choice. "Emily," Richard said suddenly, "maybe you could do us a favor and sit at the kids' table. Tonight is important." Michael's family laughed again. But Michael's next words cut the deepest. "Go on, Emily," he said coldly. "Don't ruin this for us. Just try not to be an embarrassment." The whole room stared. Then the unthinkable happened. Michael grabbed her wrist tightly and pulled her up from her chair. "Come on," he snapped. "We'll talk outside. You're acting like trash." Gasps filled the room. He dragged her through the hall. Through the staring crowd. Through the doors. Like she wasn't his wife. Like she wasn't human. And that was the moment Emily decided. Tonight would be the last night they ever humiliated her. Because after tonight, the truth would come out. And they would all beg. The cold air hit Emily's face the moment Michael shoved the hotel doors open. Snow drifted down in slow flakes, covering the parking lot in white. But even the freezing wind felt warmer than the humiliation burning in her chest. Michael didn't stop until they reached a dark corner beside the valet stand. He let go of her wrist like she was something dirty. "What is wrong with you, Emily?" he snapped. Why do you always have to ruin things? Emily stared at him, her breath shaking in the air. I didn't ruin anything, she whispered. I just sat. Exactly, he barked. You sat there like an awkward little mouse. You made everyone uncomfortable. She blinked, confused. I didn't say anything rude. I didn't do anything wrong. Michael rolled his eyes. That's the problem. You don't fit in. You never have. My family has reputation, connections, class. And you just— he waved his hand at her like she was nothing. You don't belong. Her chest tightened. The words hit harder than the cold. Why did you marry me then? She asked quietly. He scoffed. Because I thought I could fix you. But I see now, you're a lost cause. Emily felt something inside her break. He kept going. You can't talk right, dress right, act right. And tonight was important. The investment board is everything for us. My whole family depends on this. Her voice was calm, too calm. Michael, she said, what if I told you that you're wrong about everything tonight? He laughed. Loud. Mean. Please, Emily. You don't know anything about business. She stared at him, her heart hurting, but her voice steady. You think your family is getting that investment deal? He smirked. It's already as good as ours. Emily swallowed. My family owns the Summers Trust. Michael froze. The snow kept falling. The wind kept blowing. But everything around him seemed to stop. What did you say? He asked slowly. Emily had never told him. She wanted to be loved for who she was, not what she had. My grandfather put the company in my name before he died. The investment board you're trying to join? I approve every membership, every deal, every contract. Michael's face turned pale. You're lying, he whispered. I'm not, she said softly. I tried to tell you many times, but you always shut me down. You never listened. He stared at her dress, her calm face, her steady eyes, like he was seeing her for the first time. But instead of apologizing, instead of showing remorse, he stepped closer and said the one sentence that showed his true heart. If you had all that money, why didn't you tell me sooner? Do you have any idea what we could have done? How powerful we could have been? Emily flinched. There it was. The truth. He didn't love her. He loved opportunity, status, money, control. And when he thought she had none, he allowed everyone to treat her like dirt. She took a slow step back. The valet lights reflected on her teary eyes as she whispered, You dragged me through a room full of people. You let your family humiliate me. You never once defended me. And now that you know who I truly am, the first thing you think about is what you could gain. Michael reached for her wrist again. Emily, wait. She moved away. Don't touch me. His eyes widened. Emily, come on. We can work this out. I didn't mean. Yes, you did, she said. You meant every word. She wiped her tears, took a deep breath, and turned toward the hotel entrance. Where are you going? Michael asked, panicking. To end your family's billion-dollar future, she whispered. Then she walked away, leaving him in the snow, stunned, shaking, terrified, because for the first time, he realized he just lost everything. Emily didn't stop walking until she reached her car, parked a few blocks away from the hotel. Snowflakes clung to her hair and coat, but she barely noticed. Her mind was focused, sharp, and burning with a single thought: justice. She climbed into the driver's seat, started the engine, and felt the heat slowly spread through her freezing fingers. Her phone buzzed, an email notification from her private office. Urgent. Review of the Hillcrest Investment Board membership approvals. Emily opened the email. The spreadsheet was long, filled with names, numbers, and signatures. Every decision on that billion-dollar deal required her approval. Every single one. Michael's family? On her list. A slow smile spread across her face. She wasn't angry anymore. Not really. She was calm, focused. She had power. And she was about to show them that power. Back at the hotel, Michael's parents were still buzzing with confusion. What did she mean by Summer's trust? Patricia asked, wringing her hands. Richard laughed nervously. She can't be serious. Emily's just a housewife. That's all we thought. Jenna smirked. I knew she was hiding something, maybe a little inheritance from her parents. But $1 billion? That's impossible. Michael shook his head. No, she wouldn't. She couldn't. She's not the type. But inside, Michael felt a pit opening in his stomach. Something cold. Something he had never felt before, fear. Meanwhile, Emily was at her office, entering the secure vault of documents and approvals. Her assistant, Claire, looked up in surprise. Emily, you're here. It's snowing outside. And that situation with Michael. Emily didn't look up. Do your job, Claire. Pull every file related to Michael's family business. Every contract, every approval, every email. I want to see everything. Claire hesitated but nodded. She knew the quiet authority in Emily's voice wasn't a suggestion. Within minutes, Emily had all the documents she needed. Every deal Michael's family thought was theirs was under her control. Every property, every signature, every last dollar of the investment depended on her consent. She leaned back, sipping her coffee, and smiled. By late afternoon, Emily's plan was in motion. She sent a formal email to the Hillcrest Investment Board, the law firms, and the banks involved in the deal. Subject: immediate review required. Body: effective immediately. Any transactions, approvals, or transfers involving the Hart family and associated companies are suspended pending my authorization. Within minutes, Michael got a call from the investment board. What do you mean suspended? He asked, panic rising in his voice. I mean exactly what I said, Emily replied over the phone, calm, controlled. You and your family no longer have access to the deal. Every signature you've made is invalid. Every payment frozen. Every future transaction requires my explicit approval. Michael froze. His parents froze. Jenna froze. How is this possible? Patricia asked, voice trembling. I own the trust. I own the approval. I own the company, Emily said simply. Everything you've depended on for your billion-dollar future. It's mine. Michael's face went pale. Emily, please. You can't do this. She hung up.
No hesitation. No merci.
Snow began to fall again outside, soft and quiet. Michael's family sat frozen in the hotel, realizing they had just been cut off from the wealth and power they thought was theirs forever. Emily watched it all unfold from the comfort of her office. She felt no anger, only calm satisfaction. Justice wasn't about revenge. It was about balance. For years, they treated her like she was nothing. For years, they humiliated her. For years, they underestimated her. And now, they were powerless. Emily leaned back in her chair, holding her phone. Her son's photo on the desk reminded her why she was doing this. She wasn't fighting for herself alone. She was fighting for her dignity, her child, and every moment they had tried to tear her down. She whispered softly, almost to herself. Let this be a lesson. Never underestimate a woman who keeps her power hidden. The snow had turned heavier by the time Michael and his parents returned home. Inside the Hart mansion, panic and disbelief filled every corner. Phones buzzed endlessly, emails from banks, law firms, and the investment board confirmed the nightmare. Every account, every signature, every planned transaction had been frozen. Michael paced the living room, his hands shaking. This can't be happening. Emily, she can't have the power to do this. Patricia's face was pale, her lips quivering. How could she? She was just a housewife. Jenna leaned back in her chair, staring at the floor. I knew she was hiding something. But this. Billions? This is impossible. Michael's voice rose.
Impossible?
I married her. I trusted her. And she humiliated us in front of everyone. A cold wind blew through the room. Though the windows were closed, it felt like the storm outside had entered with Michael's words. Meanwhile, Emily sat in her private office, her son Noah playing quietly nearby. She had prepared for this moment for months without ever revealing a single detail. Her calmness was absolute. Her control, complete. Richard, her trusted advisor and her late mother's former confidant, stood beside her. They don't realize yet that the entire deal was contingent on your signature. Emily nodded, her fingers gently tapping the desk. They thought power was in their name. They never understood where it really came from. She picked up her phone and sent a single message. Meeting request, Hart family. Boardroom. 3 p.m. Her phone buzzed almost immediately. A flurry of calls, emails, and messages, but she ignored them. She wanted this to be personal. By mid-afternoon, the Hart family arrived at Emily's office building, their expensive cars crunching over the snow outside. They were greeted at the front entrance by security, who led them quietly but firmly to the boardroom. Michael's face was pale, his suit tight and uncomfortable. Patricia clutched her purse like a lifeline. Jenna's lips trembled. Emily entered the boardroom, calm, composed, and radiant in her simple navy dress. Her eyes met Michael's. Not anger. Not fear. Just clarity. Sit, she said softly. They obeyed instantly. Everything you've relied on for your billion-dollar future, she began, her voice steady, has been in my control from the beginning. Every investment, every contract, every approval, it required my consent. Patricia gasped. What are you saying? Emily continued. You humiliated me. You called me useless. You dragged me through a public dinner like trash. And yet, you believed I had no power. You were wrong. I am the hidden heiress who could end everything you've built in a single move. Michael stammered. Emily, please. We didn't mean it. Don't speak, she said. You have no right to speak. You were given a chance to treat me with respect. You failed. Now, every contract, every deal, every investment you counted on is frozen. It will remain frozen until I decide otherwise. Jenna whispered, trembling, we could lose everything. Emily leaned forward, eyes locked on Michael. Yes, you could. And it's because you never valued me, never respected me, never saw the woman I truly am. The room was silent. Even the snow outside seemed to pause in anticipation. Richard handed Emily a pen and a folder. The final agreements, Ms. Harper. Your decision is final. Emily smiled faintly, signing the papers with precision. Her signature alone sealed their fate. The Hart family would never touch that billion-dollar deal again. As the Hart family slumped in disbelief, Emily turned away and looked at her son, Noah, sleeping in the car seat outside. She whispered softly, this is what it feels like to be free. To be respected. To be safe. The snow continued to fall, gentle and quiet, but Emily's victory was louder than any storm. She had been humiliated, underestimated, abandoned, and now she stood untouchable, powerful, and unstoppable. Dear viewers, if Emily's story inspired you, don't leave without hitting that subscribe button. Stand with every woman who's been underestimated, humiliated, or abandoned, because strength often comes quietly, until it changes everything. Comment I stand with Emily if you believe no one should ever be treated like they're worthless. More stories of courage, revenge, and empowerment are coming. So stay tuned, because the next one might just change your life too.